G'day, it's Donna here. It's time for some creative ideas, and you know my passion is all about igniting your inspiration. If you're someone who loves the charm of vintage seed packets and prefers crafting your own over buying them or using digital kits, you're going to be happy because you can get this freebie template to make your own. I've put the link below this video for you. Right, this is one of those easy makes, but this template is going to make it much easier for you. I use 250 GSM cardstock to print out my template, but you use whatever will go through your printer. So just download the template, print it out, cut it out, and I'm using this vintage craft paper that I used to use to make patterns out of when I sewed many years ago. It's perfect. It's not cardstock at all. It's a paper, but it's good firm paper. So you use whatever you got. When I do my demo later on, I'm going to show you that you can use coloured copy paper. You can use book pages as well. So I just put the template down, trace around it. I've left the corners square. You can either use your corner punch or you can freehand cut around these corners, but it's easier to cut it out first with the corners squared. There's two ways that you can cut this out. The seam is on the left side here if you put your pattern down the right way up. If you turn it over and do it this way, your seam will be on the right hand side. So I don't think it really matters that much, but you know, I'm just letting you know in case you want to do that. So once you've cut it out, we're going to crease 4 sides of the seed packet. And I only use a ruler to do this. You don't need to use your scoreboard because it's paper. So I just run my scraper along the edge of the ruler. You can use a bone folder if you got one. Then I go to the opposite side here, line up the top and the bottom flaps and put a crease in the narrow flap and crease that over with my fingers. While it's closed, I'm going to fold the bottom flap up, and this way you get it in the right place when you put your fold over the top. And now I'm just going to fold the flap over that is the top of this seed packet. The method you use to glue this closed is up to you. I use the Belly Art Glue and I just run it down the edge of the back and then on the edge of the flap. Now before I move on the next step, I'm going to round the corners on the top flap and the bottom flap. So I just use my corner punch. Now I'm going to go and glue the bottom flap down. I really wouldn't worry about it if you get a bit gung-ho and glue the bottom down and it's got square corners. Just keep going. Rounding the corners is always optional. So that's it. That's your seed packet all made. Now, the fun bit, you can decorate the front and the back. You can go crazy with your own ideas on this one. I'm just going to show you a few of mine. This is a page, you know those center parts that are in magazines that you buy? This is a page out of that. So this goes really good with the craft paper, and this is also one of those pages that you pull out of a magazine. So this one here would be perfect for a flower seed packet. I'm going to start off with using this green one with the leaf pattern on it, and I'm cutting out a mat a little bit narrower than the front of my packet and a little bit shorter, because that leaves room at the top to put some words or a stamp or a sticker. I've picked this flower here to go on the front, and this is the little book that I got it out of. So I just cut it out and fussy cut it with a little white border on it. This little book is perfect for my seed packets. This has got text on it that I use here to make a label for the back of the packet, and these little squares, these little oblongs here are perfect for making postal stamps. So out of the book I also cut out the word tulip, but I'm going to use my vintage Dymo label maker and just print out tulip. So I've stuck my Dymo label down and I'm just going to glue on my fussy cut flower. Now I want to cut it right on the edge of this green mat. What I should have done was glued my flower on the green mat before I glued it onto my envelope. And I'll show you what I mean by just doing a demo with this little fussy cut flower here. So I just glue the flower on the mat and then look at that. It's much easier. It makes a lot of sense, but I messed up there. So do this step first. Well, it doesn't matter because I managed to save it. So that's the front done. I'm going to glue this little index that was in that flower book that I got. I'm just going to glue this on the back. I've distress inked it just to make it look not so new. Now I'm going to make some little stamps using these images here. I've also got a pair of postal edge cutters. Like when you cut around the edge of whatever you use, it looks like this, just like a real postage stamp. Now I will give you a tip. When you're cutting these out, see how I've got my scissors to the right hand side of my little flower? Keep turning it clockwise so that your serrated edge is going to be the same all the way around. So you've got to turn it the same way each time to get it looking like a stamp. If you cut it like this, so I've got it right on two sides, then I jump and put my scissors to the left, it's going to give a different edge. So see this edge, the circles are facing out, and this edge, the circles are facing in. So just be aware of that. Turn it clockwise when you're cutting out. Now I've already glued a stamp down on the back and I'll cut out the word tulip out of that little book as well. It doesn't matter what you do here. We're only replicating a seed packet. So I've got a couple of extra postage stamps to put on the front. And I'm just having a look what text would look like with it as well. So I cut out a strip of text, but I'm going to glue one stamp down, the text on top, and another stamp over the top of the text. And that's that front done. That's the whole packet done. I love this one. I think this one turned out really nice. I end up putting this in the front of my ideas journal. And of course, you can put whatever you want on the inside or nothing at all. Are you still with me? Because now I'm going to show you a few variations. This one, I'm just using black ink on the very top, and this rubber stamp fits perfectly. This was a big fluke. I was hoping it would fit, and it did. So try and pick something that the design, it won't matter if it goes over the edge, but preferably inside the front folds. Now all I'm going to do is glue a mat on the front here, and I'm going to use one of these flower cards. It was out of a like an encyclopedia for gardens. So I've just cut that out and glued it on, and now I'm going to use my modern Dymo label, and you can change the cartridge out with different colors. So I'm just going to use a white one so it stands out on my pansies. So I printed out that it's got a little bit of space at the front and the back, and because it's a sticker, I can just pop it on the front here anywhere I like. You could call this done. You can leave it like this, or you can keep embellishing. These seed packets are so much fun to make. Remember I showed you this page here? Well, I'm going to cut out these flowers and resize it to make a mat on the front. And what I've done here is I glued some words across the top. Friends are flowers in the garden of life. And then I just put a rose stamp in between the two to connect them. Here's another idea for the backs. Just put anything that's garden related. If you've got stamps, just use them. This idea is using dictionary pages, washi tape and ink stamps. We all know that if you've got a Webster's dictionary, you've got tons of embellishment paper. So I'm just tearing down 2 thin strips and putting a bit of distress ink on the very edge of it. So I'm placing them on crooked. And then I just tear this piece off at the edge a bit. Doesn't matter whether you cut or tear, whichever type of finish you prefer. These are beautiful long stem stamps and they're perfect to go with this dictionary paper, and I teamed it with this washi sticker. I love it because when you press it down, you can't see the edge of that sticker. It just looks like it's been printed on the dictionary paper. So now I can label the top of it. Honestly, the sky is the limit here, but I've got these little individual letter stamps. So I'm just going to stamp seeds. Perfect. And because we're going vintage, I'm going to put a bit of distress ink around the edge. And because this is a dictionary page, I made sure I picked out the meanings of garden and gardening. This next one is using a book page from a veggie book. I tore this out because I was going to use it as a page in one of my journals, but it never went with anything. So I kept putting it aside. And then I go, oh yeah, I remember this page. So it has made the perfect seed packet base. Oh, and here's a tip on how to mess up. I put this stamp over the top here and you can't see it. So what I've done to fix it, I re-stamped it on a piece of the craft paper, and using a fine tip marker, I've just put lines around the edge. Then I stamped seeds on another torn bit of paper and glued it on the bottom. Voila, another seed packet for my collection. Now here's proof. We love using copy paper and recycling. This one I'm going to use both. A piece of green copy paper to make my seed packet, and I'm going to go through this Coles shopping magazine. The mangoes match this beautiful caramelly colour, and I just cut out a mat that fits on the front of the envelope, just like I did using pretty paper. And I also fussy cut this word delicious. I fussy cut out the about avocados and stuck it across the top with a tiny little icon that was in the magazine as well. And look at this. You wouldn't know it was just copy paper and stuff out of a magazine. So the mango one, I've got the mangoes on the front, and then I just fussy cut out this number 17 and another strip across the top that was out of the magazine. This time I'm going to use my Yellow Pages phone book, and I went through and I found something on gardening. I just glued that on the back and hand drawn some lines across for notes. Done the same on the back of the green one, only this time I used my little rubber stamp, and that's it. We're all done here on the copy paper and the magazine images. How cool is this? We've all got scrapbook paper, we've all got washi tape, die cuts, and or little labels. So I've just put a mat down on the front of this one, put a couple of die cuts on the front, stamped vintage stamps. I meant to write vintage seed packet, and because I was stamping, my brain was going with the word stamp, and it wasn't until I got to the letter A that I realised it. So that was a big oopsie. So using up your scraps, using up your half sheets, use your Dymo label, use cut out words, make your own stamps, use dictionary paper. Anything you've got goes on this type of craft paper. And as you can see, you don't have to use craft paper, you can use a coloured paper, and it looks amazing. These are such handy little seed pockets. You can make them to match the page where you're going to put it in your journal. And if you're following along with me and making an ideas journal, put a blank one in here And that'll remind you that you've got the template in your stash and you can make as many as you want. If you've got this far through the video and you haven't seen my ideas journal, here it is here. You've got to watch this one. It is so much fun to make.